another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. Oh, wait. I didn't do any of the... Hold on, let me start over. What is up, everyone? I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash, and welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot, presented by our good friend over at Little Caesars Pizza. We're Stay Hot, they're staying ready with some hot and ready pizza for you all NFL season long. We're here to recap the NFL's conference championship matchups. It's weird to think that we're already at Super Bowl time, but
one game left. And then
we
that's
got
it.
Chiefs. We've got 49ers, the sequel.
I know.
And we'll have to talk about the games that led to that. But before we get into it, Matt, Theo, how are you doing on this glorious, glorious Sunday night?
Well, me and Theo are having a discussion before the podcast. Yeah. I would like to get everybody's takes on it. I don't know if you were listening in, Blaiden.
No, I was trying to get set up. What's the deal here?
We're talking about how Theo posted 2 TikToks predicting the conference championship games. He picked the Ravens to win, and he picked the 49ers to win. So he's happy that he got one right. But he says that he predicted the Chiefs to get 17 points. He predicted the 49ers to get 37 points. And he predicted the Lions to get 30 points. So even though he only went 1 for 2. So he was 3 for 4 because he got the scores right on one team that he predicted to lose and then close on the other 2 teams. How does everybody else feel about this?
Chiefs 17 points. And then 34 for the 49ers. That's like reasonably a good prediction. And then the Lions 31. That's reasonably a good prediction. So
Theo, I was give you that
I was on the money for everybody except for the Ravens offense.
Theo, I will give you were close for the Lions 49ers game. You were very close to the correct score for that. But
you're not giving me half credit for getting the Chiefs 17 points,
buddy. I think.
Yeah, man. I think you're reaching a hair.
I'll take that. I just 3 for 4 isn't really how it works. So I'll accept 1-1.
But
yeah, I think
they were pretty good games today.
Yeah, they were close. They were competitive. I can't complain either. I can complain about the Super Bowl matchup, but I don't think that I will. I'll leave that to the rest of America to do because I'm sure that we'll see it plenty.
Yeah, that'll be the that'll be the storyline. Is everyone will just be complaining like, why do we have to watch Mahomes and Taylor Swift and Purdy and
yeah. I mean, I was hoping to see the Ravens there. I'm not going to hide that. I mean,
I think Lamar in the Super Bowl would have been cool, but as a Browns fan, I'm always happy to not see an AFC North team.
That's fair. I couldn't quite come around as a Green Bay fan to fully put my heart behind the Lions, especially after they cooked me on TikTok. Well, I can't lie. I was hoping they would lose after that.
Well, see, it would have gotten real ugly if they had won the Super Bowl. Who knows what they would have? Who knows what they would have said?
Yeah, they could have rolled me up and smoked me, man. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I would have shed a tear hitting that Theo pack. I won't lie.
Don't hit the Theo pack. It'll make you scared and anxious.
It'll make you scared.
Which game do we want to talk about first here?
Let's talk about the Ravens first and the
Chiefs. We'll just go in the order we watched them. We watched the Ravens game live on YouTube. For those that missed that, we were live.
You weren't quite live, Blaiden.
I was about a play behind the whole time.
But you were still doing your play-by-play for most of it, so it was as close as you could get.
I was trying my best, man, and I was trying to change providers refresh the page, close out other tabs. Nothing helped. And at one point, I thought I did catch up to you guys, and then
nope, you were still
I was still a play behind.
But anyway,
we watched that game live, and I think our kind of gut feeling while watching it was this was a really embarrassing or ugly performance by the Ravens offense. Are we still feeling that way 4 hours later?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, it's so bizarre because it's so much of everything for this. Like, it was not a strong Lamar performance. They got away from the run. They got beat in the trenches. They allowed a ton of pressure. And then on top of that, like, I don't think the wide receivers played a particularly strong game. And they just made dumb mistakes on top of that. And they just had, like, Zay Flowers fumble on the 1 yard line. The culmination of all that, and they still only lost by, a single score. It's a heartbreaker, man. That defense played its butt off. But man, how much went wrong for the Ravens offense? It was a complete meltdown. A complete meltdown.
They couldn't move up and down the field, and then they were getting killed in time of possession. At one point, someone was in the chat telling us there was like a 13-minute gap. I don't know if the final gap.
Yeah, in the first half, it was like 4 minutes to like.
It was awful.
15 or something at the beginning of the game. I can't remember the exact numbers, but man, the Ravens were hardly on the field in the first half.
It ended with the Chiefs having 37 and a half minutes time of possession, the Ravens 22 and a half minutes. Brutal.
Yeah,
15-minute gap.
It was pretty ugly. It was pretty unbelievable to think, man, like if Zay Flowers scored, it was only a 7-point game by the end. Like it just didn't feel that close at all. And shout out the Ravens defense, which we'll talk about. Ronnie Stanley was absolutely brutal. It was a weak point that I worried about this year, watching his performance the entire season. It was pretty rough. But yeah, going into the playoffs and after what happened against Houston, I was like, I don't know. Line is playing decently well, but yeah, him and Moses both on the other side, beaten. Left guard also beaten. The backs were quite bad in pass protection as well. And they didn't give them any carries, which I thought was super bizarre. Like the game was in reach the entire time. Like it was never more than a 2-possession game. Mm-hmm. Like it was kind of a slow moving game. Like there was never any real reason to abandon the run. And when I watched the Chiefs defense last week, I thought, okay, they're kind of weak against the run. Like Josh Allen ran the ball all over the place. James Cook had a big rushing performance last week, at least through the first 3 quarters. I thought they got a little predictable towards the end, and the Chiefs were able to sniff it out. But I thought the Ravens would be able to follow the same script, like Lamar carry the ball, like plenty of Gus Edwards, plenty of Hill, and you should be able to control the game. And they just didn't even really try to run the football. And I'll have to go back and look at the tape and figure out, like, was there something the Chiefs were doing that was like deterring them from doing it? I wasn't bright enough to catch it if it was happening on the live.
Right. It would have been hard to tell in real time, but yeah, I mean, only 16 run attempts total, half of which were Lamar Jackson. And I don't think any of those Lamar runs were designed, if I'm not mistaken. And
the 4th down conversion was designed.
Yes.
I think there was a read option in there too, and maybe one designed, but it was maybe like 10 designed runs, which is just ridiculous. Like 3 Gus Edwards carries is just and insane for them.
This is the number 1 rushing offense on the year, and they barely ran the football. I don't get it.
And they barely ran the football. It's just a totally bizarre performance. And with Lamar, when he was dropping back, it's a tough one because it's hard to tell exactly what their problem was when they dropped back. Like, that some dropbacks, the pressure got there pretty quickly. And even Lamar, who had some great moments against pressure in this game and had a really nice play against pressure early in this game, couldn't do anything about it. It was just too quick. But I felt like a lot of the other times that Lamar was holding the ball for a long time, and there'd be points where it's like, just take off, like he can just take off now, and he didn't want to do that. Now, whether or not Lamar was being super passive and there were guys open and he just wasn't hitting them, or whether whether he was being passive or guys just weren't open, we can't know until we watch all 22, right? Like we can't see downfield every single play. But it was just very weird for them. That's not how they've been all season. And a lot of credit to the Chiefs defense, which played out of its mind this game.
Yeah.
I thought the secondary was great, playing a lot of zone coverage and passing it off really well on the back end. Like they were just tight, is from what I could tell when they showed the sacks and zoomed out. It just didn't look like a lot of blown assignments, even though it was 7 yards or 7 seconds, I should say, that Lamar was holding it. They just kept on it. And he wasn't really forcing it into many tight windows until that last interception.
Oh
I'm not totally sure what he was looking at there. I'm looking at the dots of it right now. I mean, the backside safety is on top of it the entire time. And I know he started out looking right. I just don't know. Like, I guess he thought he was doubling Odell Beckham and just assumed that would be the case and that 80 would bend it past 32. But man, like, likely was doubled anyway. And then by the time the ball got there, he was triple teamed. I just don't understand.
Yeah, the decision.
I just can't understand that throw.
And then even the actual execution of the throw was short. And like you saw the safety that came back ended up undercutting it. And, you know, everyone was complaining about like, oh, this should have been pass interference. I'm like, bro, likely it's like 5 yards away from the play by the time the ball's caught. Like, what are we?
Dude, the PI complaints were funny to me because it's like, Lamar threw it into triple coverage. Is of course the wide receiver got like bullied. Like the refs are just looking at it like, damn, that's a huge glob of Chiefs. Like I didn't think it was PI when I first saw it either in real time. Like it just looked like a horrible throw that like got his wide receiver kind of killed. And maybe in slow motion after the play, it's like, oh, likely got pushed, but it's like that doesn't forgive the throw from Lamar.
Yeah, it was a bad decision. It was a bad placement on the ball. Like just none of it was good. And you don't get bailed out. You don't get to be rewarded for bad throws here. Unless you're Mahomes, of course, sometimes.
Yeah, Spags. Dude is one of the great defensive coordinators, man. Like, I don't know if he'll ever get another head coaching opportunity. He's been a head coach in the past. I don't really remember that. I was too young. So
I know his record was not good.
Yeah, I know his record was not good.
He was like 10-38.
Jesus,
Chiefs have just kind of got him. That's what you're looking for. Is like, where can I find a defensive coordinator that is just old and that nobody wants as a head coach anymore? That Belichick would be such a perfect hire.
Yeah. It would be nice.
But anyway, it was just a really sloppy offensive performance and no one played well. No,
but both defenses came to play. I feel like it was like every defensive possession, you know, you guys were a play ahead of me. I'm like, all right, was it Roquan or was it Kyle Hamilton this time that came up and would make a big tackle?
Hamilton played a whale of a game outside of the touchdown he gave up to Travis Kelce, which was like on him, but I don't know how much it was on him. You know, I mean,
it wasn't bad coverage.
It wasn't bad coverage.
Great throw, man.
It was a great throw. It was a great catch. Kelce played a whale of a game today. One of his big ones that we're so used to, which was huge for them. He had
it was a
maybe
whale
3
off.
ridiculous catches. Yeah,
whale off.
It was. I mean, buddy ball with Kelce is the only thing that really worked for the Chiefs. I mean, that was like what got them down the field in the first half.
Half their passing yards, 11 targets, 11 catches, 116 yards.
And I think 9 of those catches and targets came in the first half, right? Like it wasn't a big Kelsey second half. He did most of his damage
No,
to
it
get
was
the
not.
lead.
That's why they didn't score.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were worried about the Chiefs receivers going into the playoffs. Like, is Richie James going to do it? He had he couldn't bring in a throw behind him. Rashee Rice had a touchdown called back. And outside of that, didn't hear his name much. Like Watson had a big catch on third down, but again, like not too much outside of just Kelsey and Mahomes playing buddy ball. And Kelsey and Mahomes buddy ball is like the greatest offensive production in the history of the playoffs, in the history of the sport. That is the best playoff connection in the history of the sport. It's all you need if you can have a good defense. And
pretty great.
Yeah, you pair up an all-time great quarterback like Mahomes with another potential GOAT candidate, or as some on this podcast would say, an undisputed GOAT at his position, GOAT. And a good defense, and you're going to get a bunch of rings. Patriots had a very similar formula.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's hard to argue with it, and it's crazy because we even thought like, oh, well, if anyone matches up well against that buddy ball formula, it's Baltimore, because they have the best linebacking or one of the best linebacking duos.
Yeah, they have the best underneath defenders.
And I thought all the good.
I was starting to lose faith in Kelsey as just like a total dominator too, and it's just he's still got it, man. He's still got it. Maybe he's slowing down and he's just having like a real hot playoffs, but I have a hard time believing that. He's had a lot of real hot playoffs, as many real hot playoffs as anybody ever, pretty much.
Yeah, he broke Jerry Rice's record today. I thought, man, they'll need Tooney back. I thought the line played well to begin, but then it kind of slowly devolved over the course of the game a little bit. Penalties really killed them. More than giving up sacks. It was just a lot of penalties. Trey Smith had a pretty brutal day, and they certainly missed Tooney. So we'll see what that looks like, because they'll have their work cut out for them again next time around. But I've got to say, I thought that the pass rush for Baltimore did end up looking a little human outside of the sim pressures in this one.
Yeah,
it's always tough when you're playing Mahomes, though. Just to know when to send heat, because you don't want to just blitz him all day.
Yeah, early they seemed to be a bit more passive. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they got a little bit more passive, and it started working a lot better. But I think we've known that Baltimore's pressure comes a little bit more from what they can simulate rather than just like dominant outside edges. And that's, it's worked for most of the year. And I don't think we can blame the Baltimore defense at all for this loss.
No,
17 points against the Chiefs that's a win. And how many times did they come up and get another stop and give the Ravens another chance to put themselves back into this game in the second half? Maybe 6 times, man. I mean, it was really ridiculous. So there's some things that you could point out, but if you can't win,
it wasn't
if you can't win, if you can't put up 18 points, you're just not going to win playoff games. You have to assume you're not winning playoff games.
Yeah, it went touchdown Chiefs, and then it went turnover on downs, punt, field goal, punt, 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 punt. End of the game.
Oh my God.
But how many punts was that in a row in the second half?
I think
1,
5.
2, 3,
5.
4, 5 punts in a row. Damn.
I'd be mad if I didn't win that game.
I'd be pissed. I mean, it was a real just you come out and you play the worst game of your season in that moment.
Yeah.
It's just a disaster, man.
And that's Lamar's best chance.
Yep.
And the Lamar haters they're gonna have a field day. They're gonna have a field next 4 months with this, man.
Yeah,
They
well,
might
Lamar's
have
got
a
to
field
shake
forever with this one, man.
He's got to shake it.
And that's what my take was, is that like this is bad for Lamar. He's probably not getting like a beautiful chance like this again next year. But if he really isn't what people are saying he is, he will overcome it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on him to get it done, man. At least to some extent. There's a lot more to it than just him, certainly, but it wasn't his best game.
Yeah.
To me, and maybe this is a lame comparison, guy who's seen his team in a Super Bowl one time. Wow, that really looks a lot like Super Bowl 50, but man, it felt Super Bowl 50-ish. Where it's just like you're never out of the game, but it's just one of those like, okay, well, we're playing the worst game we've ever played. This is our biggest disaster ever, and we're never out of it, but we're out of it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is there was like 17 minutes left in the game. We're like, oh, well, if they just the defense
well,
is
we
going
kept
to stop
we were at war
over.
with our comment section the entire time, where it's like, is this game over? And from the first drive, there was like, it's over in the chat, and we're like, it's not over, but it was over. Like they were right. It always was over.
It felt over from like jump, man.
They got set down 17-7 and they didn't respond, and the offense looked like really clunky. And you're like, oh man, that could be wraps.
Every time, but then it never was wraps. But
it ended up being wraps.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
But don't get me wrong, I ended up buying back in and saying it wasn't over. So it really true. I mean, all of this means nothing. You know, you're just talking to talk. Well, I mean,
when Zay Flowers caught that downfield pass and they got like down to, what was it, like the 20, and he had that taunting call. That's when I was like, okay, they might be back in it.
And they should have been. And then he fumbled. And
then he fumbled. Right.
Yeah, I think
2 turnovers in the end zone, you lose by 7. I don't know what else you can say. Right. You know, that's really bad, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely the reason they lost. And as far as Lamar as a playoff performer, I think that he still was clearly one of the best players in the game. You know, Kelsey, Mahomes, Kyle Hamilton, Roquan. Like Lamar had some otherworldly plays in this one that were like unbelievably good. And I think that his MVP this season is deserving, like when you look at the regular season. And I do think, like, man, these NFL playoffs, it's really hard, especially when your team just isn't the most stacked. And Mark Andrews played in this one, but he didn't really like make a big impact. And yeah, Lamar's weapons and offensive line isn't at the level of some of the other teams in these playoffs. I think that's fair to say as an excuse for him. I mean, I really think that he deserved the MVP because of that, but he didn't play his best game.
I mean, this was about as good of a matchup as you could have gotten. I think they stack up pretty well. I mean, if we're talking about the Chiefs' biggest weaknesses, it's their tackle play and their wide receiver play. I would much rather have Zay Flowers
and the Chiefs. The Ravens' biggest weakness is their probably like corners, right? And maybe their edge rushers, right?
I just think it wasn't a good Lamar game.
I don't think it was either. I just think that he deserves MVP.
I don't think it makes him a bad player. I think it just sucks that he had a bad game in this game.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one to. Yeah, it's just one game.
It's tough for legacy.
He really had to play good in this one.
Yeah, he did.
He really needed to have a big time game.
Yep,
he did. It was not. It was definitely a disappointing performance, but I just think I'll kind of always put my stock in the best regular season players in the playoffs. Maybe it's a fatal flaw of mine. I should just always pick Mahomes, really, because like, well, who's a good playoff performer outside of Patrick? Who's a good playoff performer outside of Patrick Mahomes? But then who's second best? Right, like no one's second best. It's literally just Mahomes, and then everybody else sucks in the playoffs.
Maybe
Purdy,
Josh
I guess,
Allen,
is good.
Maybe.
Yeah, I guess so.
I
but
don't
like,
know. It's tough. It's tough.
It's exactly like the standards that people hold every player to is the top standard. And really only two guys that I've ever seen hit the general public standard of good playoff performer. And that's Brady and that is Mahomes. Those are the only two. And I guess like Purdy at this point has
at the position we've ever seen. So
Purdy at this point is probably like the second most successful playoff quarterback. I mean, but I even think that he has won a couple games where he has played bad, like the Green Bay game. I don't think that was a dominant playoff performance. Burrow. Yeah, Burrow and Burrow's a pretty solid choice as well. Although he's never had the postseason success.
Some eyebrow-raising postseason games. No hate. Shout out to Joe Burrow. However,
but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and Lamar.
Sometimes it's better to have a good defense. I mean,
and Lamar is not second. Like Lamar is not. He's been like a tier below some of these guys in the playoffs, definitely. But I think people get a bit too harsh on some of these quarterbacks who don't perform in the playoffs because really it's just one guy who does. And that's been the case for as long as I've been watching football. Everyone else sucks in them. Drew Brees, he chokes in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers chokes in the playoffs every year. Peyton Manning chokes in the playoffs every year. You know, it's only Brady and it's only Mahomes that live up to these standards. So when you consider every quarterback, like, give me Lamar compared to like basically anybody else, like besides Mahomes.
That's the thing. Like you go back 30 years and you had like multiple quarterbacks that were successful in the postseason.
Maybe. I mean, I guess I don't know. There's always been dynasties. I can't really say what quarterback dialogue was like in the 90s, but was there ever a point where it's like,
I feel like, what was it? Aikman, Montana, Bradshaw, Aikman.
Yeah, but those guys weren't all around at like the exact same time.
I guess that's fair. Yeah.
I'm no historian. I'm not. Call Nerd Sesh. Tell me. I don't know how these dynasties all lined up and who won Super Bowl MVP and who came up short at these times. But I just think like standard.
It's one of those things that like you're not a playoff performer until you are. I always think about Elway, you know.
Mm-hmm.
One of the all-time, you know, not a big-time winner or whatever, and then, you know, he was eventually. So
exactly,
yeah.
You just it's just such a small sample size that my big thing and my thing with Lamar going forward is like I'm still taking Lamar over most quarterbacks. Again, there's that top tier where I agree. Like Josh Allen is above him, especially in the playoffs. Joe Burrow is maybe above him, especially in the playoffs. I haven't sorted it all. That's probably an off-season project. You know, Justin Herbert. We haven't really seen him in the playoffs very much. When we have, he blew a 27-point lead, right? So, or
not his fault though. Not his fault.
Eckler blew a 27-point lead. And Gus Edwards blew this one. But anyway,
it's all on the running backs.
That's my Lamar cope for those who wanted to hear it. Again, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying.
I just don't have it in me to treat Lamar like Herbert, man. I can't fool myself with my favorites like that. You know, it's
just no one that you can push an agenda for that's not Mahomes. Like that's my point. Like literally, if you're not rooting for Mahomes or Purdy, your agendas are just in the ground at this point.
Guys who are too young for us to be mad, like guys who have played one season.
Even Jordan Love Jordan Love is going to be he farved it across the field, and which he did. So
it's acceptable to root for. Patrick Mahomes and CJ Stroud, and if CJ Stroud does not win the Super Bowl next year, no longer.
Well, you could root for Richardson. You could root for Richardson.
He's injury prone, man. No, it's only Mahomes and Purdy. Those are the only two where it's fun to root for them.
If we're reading the tea leaves, Bryce Young will be sort of
where did that come from? Where did that come from?
I'm reading the tea leaves.
What?
Oh, by the way, Matt, we never talked about the Canales hire. Let's end Chiefs Ravens.
Okay.
While we're on the topic here, some of the new hires before we transition into Lions, 49ers.
Let's go through
Canales got hired in Carolina, and who else got hired? It was Raheem Morris in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just pull up the list of coaching hires.
Matt,
Right.
talk to me about your initial vibe check on the Dave Canales hire.
Like, my vibe check is that his aura is way off to be a long-term head coach. Like, genuinely, like that was my first thought. I don't know. I have no problem with the Canales hire. I think so much of coaching, and maybe this is a cop-out opinion, I just think so much of coaching is stuff that you can't tell from somebody's position as a coordinator. It seems like he did a very good job with Tampa Bay. They had a really solid offense when that wasn't necessarily the case. People make the point that I guess they didn't rank that highly, but that run game was probably never going to be all that good. We went into the season knowing it was going to be a total disaster. And they were still able to make the playoffs and win a playoff game. And they got some good performances out of Baker. And their weapons were fine. You know, Evans and Godwin, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything crazy. It didn't feel supercharged.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's
Tom
a guy
Brady
who,
and they got better.
They lost Tom Brady and they got better.
Yeah.
And if we're bringing in a guy who is going to make things a little bit easier for Bryce Young and get us going with the play action stuff, I'm down for it. Now, whether or not this dude is going to be like the type of leader you need as a head coach, I have no idea. I'm not saying that as a negative or a positive. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. And I would be, I'd just be making stuff up if I could tell you. What I do know is that everybody who seems to be a little bit more in the know than me seems to really like him and seems to really have, like, everyone who's like, got connections within the Panthers organization or whatever, seem to really like both him and Dan Morgan as the hire. Now, whether or not that's them just being nice or them genuinely believing that, I don't know. But I'm fairly excited. They didn't do anything where I'm like, well, that's just obviously. They didn't go hire somebody from college where it's like, there's something like that. And as far as the Dan Morgan hire goes, everyone's mad at that because he was in the room with Scott Fitterer, and I understand that. But we can't know how much of the decision-making process fell on Morgan. We don't know how much each one of those draft picks was up to him. We don't know how much Frank Reich played a role in all of that. So to me, I mean, if I'm going to sit there and pretend like I know how good of a general manager, how good somebody's going to draft, who's just some random dude I've never met before, I've never talked to before, you've never heard, like, come on, I can't believe that. And if I was going to sit here and be like, well, that was a Scott Fitterer guy, so he must be bad, then I'd have to do that for Bryce Young as well. And I don't think a lot of Panthers fans would appreciate that. So as far as I'm concerned, Dan Morgan is his own guy. We'll see how he is. And Canales, I'm excited for, even if I think his aura is off, mainly because his Twitter profile picture probably should be cropped a little bit better. But if he fixes that, Panthers win in 10 games next year. So I'm pretty.
Oh my God!
I'm pretty
if we judged everyone off of their past trees, Ben Johnson would not have a job. So
it's very true.
Yeah, that is right. I mean, there was a diamond in the rough from the Gase era. So yeah, I agree. I think that anyone who got such an efficient result out of their dropback game. I think they were top 10 in EPA per dropback.
That's ridiculous, man.
And they were
that's ridiculous. And that's passing to get a consistent result with a very inconsistent quarterback. Makes you feel like, we can start to put a few things together. Now we have to still get the weapons, and it's going to be tough, but I'm not. I'd like to give Bryce Young a real chance, and I think this is a good step towards doing that.
Yeah, he gets under center. That's an important thing to do. I think in this era is get under center and pass the football, which is what they do. That's the most efficient play that there is, and something that's good to run.
Amen.
And he has a very good grasp of that. It seems marrying up these rushing and passing concepts and working in the play action game, and also incorporating the spread principles from Baker's college days, and the way he was able to kind of balance that with the play action stuff. I thought it was all very common sense and fit well for the personnel that he had and the quarterback that he had. And the offensive line took a huge step this year with Christian Wirfs changing sides, which is, a difficult thing. But again, he just seemed to get everybody in the right spot. It worked out perfectly. Their left and right tackle situation was better than it was last year with Donovan Smith on the left side and Wirfs over on the right. And He wore a ton of different hats in Seattle. He's been the wide receivers coach. He's been passing game coordinator. He's been quarterbacks coach. I think he's held a couple other roles, but they're not quite on Wikipedia. So he was a strength coach too at USC. He's kind of been a bunch of different things. So I like that about him, and I liked his game plans. And I don't know how he is as a person or how it'll translate, but I thought it was a decent hire.
He could be Dan Campbell, or he could be Hugh Jackson. Those are two possibilities. But hard to know. Another coach that got hired in the same division, Raheem Morris. We talked about this a little bit on the live stream. And I think it's kind of he was a former head coach before too, but
he was the head coach of the Falcons before.
Oh, shoot, he was. Yeah,
he's the interim. He was
crazy.
Hired. It's a Raheem Morris sandwich with Arthur Smith in the middle.
What year
that was 2020. That was 2020.
2020.
He was the interim after they fired Dan Quinn, I think. And then it was Arthur Smith, and now it's him again.
That's crazy.
I'm just totally blanking. I don't know why. It's been done before.
Did you want to call him Raheem Mostert like I've been doing this entire time?
I get that.
When I come out with the head coach ranking quiz, it will just be a picture of Raheem Mostert.
He's pulling a Steve Clifford. That's who I'm thinking of. Hornets head coach who got fired. Except he was the head coach. We hired someone else 4 years, and then he's the head coach again. But I think this is a little bit more of an understandable situation.
This one is way more understandable. That. Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I think Belichick had his flaws as a candidate. I had him in a higher tier than Raheem Mostert, just because I think Belichick is the more proven defensive mind blowing. Belichick is the more proven defensive mind than anybody in league history. So
here's my thing with Belichick.
But
dude, he is just too old to hire. He just is. Like I the oldest head coach ever, I was looking this up, was like 74 years old. Like Bill Belichick in 2 seasons would be the oldest head coach to ever coach a game at the end of not next season, but the season after. The idea that you're going to hire somebody like that and have that short of a timeline for a team that doesn't really have like the guaranteed lock-it-in infrastructure in place, I just think is ridiculous. And I think even if you did, wouldn't you want to hire somebody who you felt like had a better chance of sticking around for a while? I know that's how I would feel. And that's nothing against Belichick, and I'm not a guy who thinks that he isn't, super legit, but I saw somebody say, like, oh, well, Belichick might wait a year and see what options are available next season. It's like, dude, he's going to be 73,
Yeah.
Coaching
he would be already
is brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he played, I'm trying to figure out how the dates line up here.
If he played now, he'd be the oldest player by a long shot, man.
If he played the coaching game, in a year, George Halas was the oldest head coach ever that wasn't an interim at 72 days, 72 years, 318 days. Romeo Crennel was the oldest head coach, but he was an interim. So Belichick would far and away be the oldest, like, newly hired retread coach by probably several decades. And this season would probably become the oldest head coach to ever coach a game. If not, then the first game of next year, he would 100% be.
And you have to wonder how much power you'd be giving to Bill Belichick.
I don't know how much power you'd be giving, because he said that he was willing to concede the GM role. And I think it's a combination of the tree. I mean, Belichick has really only ever worked with the same couple guys, like Matt Patricia, come on down, Josh McDaniels, come on down. That's legitimately probably your OC, Josh McDaniels, if you hire Belichick, right? Like they always hire the same guys.
Yeah.
It's not like New England has a bunch of new people going in and out of it all the time. It's the same group over and over and over again. And with Raheem Morris, you bring over someone who is Sean McVay's like top guy this year, right? And that is just so much more attractive than Belichick maybe bringing over the Patriots offensive brain trust. Like you're also getting a piece of that offensive staff building. And the offensive staff building has been awful in New England. And that's, I think, a huge part of it as well. So I like the hire. I think it's understandable. I put Belichick in a higher tier when I was ranking my coaching candidates. But now that I'm, seeing it play out, I think obviously the initial reaction is like Belichick is this, what a candidate, how is he available? But it does make sense. I think that you go a different direction. And I think Raheem Morris is a deserving candidate. I mean, his defenses haven't been great these past couple of years, but man, the Rams' strength of schedule on the defensive side of the ball has been ridiculous. I mean, this year, Dallas, Green Bay, San Francisco twice, Philadelphia, Baltimore.
And what have the Rams had to counter that? A couple of big guys, but been a lot of youth, a lot of young players, a lot of day three guys.
And I think you have to give Morris a lot of credit for getting some good production out of some of their young talent, especially like Byron Young, Kobe Turner.
Yeah, I think he runs a very desirable style of defense right now. Like tons and tons of fire zones, creative blitzes with 2 high zones behind it. Like that's kind of the answer right now. Those are that people have tried a bunch of things.
Yeah.
The great quarterbacks are shredding man coverage, they're shredding zone coverage, but if you can kind of marry up those pressures, you can, that's in vogue right now. And he runs that type of system, and he hasn't been the most effective at it. But again, a lot of that comes down to your opponents, and a lot of that comes down to the roster that you have more than scheme.
I'm sorry, Raheem Morris was head coach of the Buccaneers a long time ago.
Yeah, in the Josh Freeman era. I can't say I remember much about
that. He would have been ridiculously young then, wouldn't he?
He was the youngest head coach, I think, in the league at that point, definitely, or maybe ever. Or he may have been the youngest head coach.
It might be just McVay is the only, because he can't even be 50 now, and that would have been when we were like 8 or 9 years old, dude.
He was 33. That was 2009.
Dang. That's nuts, man.
Yeah, so that's
to work your way up to being a head coach at 33 is crazy.
It's extremely crazy, and Jalen Ramsey called him the best coach in the league. Jalen Ramsey has been more vocally supportive of Raheem Morris than I think I've seen a defensive star be of their defensive coordinator. I mean, the players just absolutely rave about Raheem Morris. He obviously was impressive enough to get a head coaching job before. And then since that time happened, he's been in the Washington room with McVay and LaFleur and Shanahan. Then he's been, an offensive coach and a defensive coach, and, been a part of this highly successful tree. So even though he failed in Tampa Bay, the fact that he had that job in the first place was crazy. And then everything he's done since then has been like the perfect route.
This is do you realize how insane it is that he went from a defensive backs coach in 2008 to head coach 2009, and then he dropped all the way, massive cut down to secondary coach, and then worked his way up, assistant defensive game coordinator, assistant head coach, wide receivers coach, passing game coordinator in Atlanta, back up to defensive coordinator, interim head coach, and then, that's...
You can't keep a good man down.
Hall of Fame humility is what that is, man.
You can't keep a good man down.
He's on his grind.
He's going for 100% completion of coaching here.
He's got all the badges now.
He's got the lower levels down. Now he just needs to win at the head coach level, and I think he can do it. I do like the hire. I like Raheem Morris a lot. I think that I see the vision. I do see the vision.
Yeah,
but anyway,
we'll have to talk about what the Falcons are going to do this offseason at quarterback. Do we want to talk about, because there's other stuff we could talk about: Harbaugh, Callahan, Pierce,
oh right, yeah,
Mayo, and then there's coordinators. Like the Browns hired Ken Dorsey today.
Yeah.
We might have to wait to get into some of those. We're sitting.
Because I was about to say there's a lot that we could get into.
Let's talk about Harbaugh and stuff maybe in the next episode, because there are more coaching carousels than we have time for. Yeah. Let's talk about the Lions 49ers game.
Let's do it.
What happened?
Make Little Caesars the official pizza sponsor of the NFL part of your game day. Order online during our Pizza pregame 1 hour before and 3 hours after NFL kickoffs, plus all day Sunday. And get ready for some football and some fun. Choose your favorite Little Caesars pizza or pick the toppings you crave. Either way, you win. And speaking of winning, everyone scores with convenient delivery or our in-store pizza portal pickup. So grab some friends and enjoy a few slices during the game.
Steph Curry makes you believe that you can do anything. I mean, look at me. He has me believing that I can shoot threes when I play pickup basketball. And the Curry 11s are specifically designed with ultimate bounce, grip, and stability to allow everyone to do their thing. New generations of ball players are coming up and showing the basketball world that the old rules do not apply. The future is exciting, fast, positive, and hungry. This NBA season, rock your favorite player and rep his shoes on and off the court. The Curry 11s are perfect for both the committed and casual ballers. The UA Warp Tech makes the shoe feel like it was designed for your feet, locked in no matter what you do on the court. Stop in your tracks with dual density UA Flow cushioning and traction, an emergency brake that you don't even notice. Steph's 11th signature shoe steps into the second decade of his sneaker career, pulling colorway inspiration from the wonders of a positive and modernized future on and off the court. Take these kicks with you when you leave the scrimmage and rep UA wherever you go. Do your thing. Change the game. The Curry 11 Future Curry is available now at currybrand.com. This episode of Stay Hot is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And they also now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. A couple weeks ago, I hit a big one on Prize Picks with my Browns versus Jets play with Njoku and Flacco and Breece Hall, and you can too. So head on over to Prize Picks, use the code STAYHOT, and they will double your first deposit, or prizepicks.com/stayhot and use code STAYHOT for a first deposit match up to $100. So what are you waiting for? Head on over there.
The Lions went up 17 at half, and then someone gave a great speech at halftime, I'm sure, in the locker room. Maybe it was Purdy, maybe it was McCaffrey, maybe it was Nick Bosa, and they came out swinging, and they ended up winning by 3.
It was insane how fast the Niners got that game tied up. I mean, I sent that tweet at halftime. This one is over. And I checked when that score got tied. It had been 41 minutes since I tweeted that. So, that wasn't very much. That was not very much time that it took for the Lions to choke that.
It was not.
It took about 12 minutes of game time. I mean, it's about as quick as you can do it, man.
Yeah, it's just like it was a sequence of events that just went so wrong for Detroit offensively, and it's easy, I think, to blame Dan Campbell for being super aggressive on 4th down, but they had
I don't blame Dan Campbell for
they had the Josh Reynolds drop. They had the Josh Reynolds drop, and then they had an interception that got dropped too. They should have had an interception that Brock Purdy threw down the field. He knocked it off his face mask, got caught by Brock Purdy. It was just like a really rough sequence of events for them. And then they couldn't run the ball at all in the second half. So it was just hard. It was hard sledding for them. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he didn't get a single target until the final, 3 minutes in the game?
He was pretty quiet. It was pretty quiet. It was a lot of Jameson. It was a lot of, unfortunately, Reynolds. And it was a concern that
3 of them.
It was a concern from the beginning of the year, I think. They spent that pick on a running back. Okay. I think that pick paid out, beautifully. But they don't have a great wide receiver, too.
Man,
and
if only they
got
had
a tight end.
Paid that 16th pick on, a really good offensive weapon.
Yeah, I think that really came back to bite them today. There was a weak point in that receiving core that showed up. Not criticizing the pick anymore. Gibbs looked
Gibbs
fantastic.
looks
His
great.
touchdown run was sick. But yeah, they got to address that, I think, to really supercharge him, whether it be Jameson showing up in a big way next year. I think that's getting a little bit tough to bank on. He looked decent. He looked better definitely at the end of the season, but
he gave him a chance with that touchdown at the end.
Yeah, and he did have the catch that he dropped and then he caught it. He caught again.
He does not have the best hands in the world, man.
Nor does he have the best tracking. Like that flea flicker over his shoulder, just he had no chance at it, and it was like right where it needed to be.
It was a great throw by Goff. I will give Goff a lot of credit. Goff played, I thought, a pretty good game.
Yeah, he made Bosa miss and hit Reynolds on that fourth down. I was like, okay, Goff, and then the ball popped out. That's like
heartbreaker, man.
That happened like 3 or 4 or 5 times.
He handled pressure like a champ. Because there were a lot of plays where Bosa came tearing off that edge.
Bosa played amazing, I thought.
He did. Bosa was out of his mind.
This is the Bosa we've been waiting for all year. He gets into his stuff. There's just no one who can block him. They just can't stop him, man.
He's so fast, and I mean, he's just
levels, like a totally
he
compete
moves,
player, man.
Yeah, he moves like Micah, and he moves like Garrett, and and really, it's just those two, I think, athletically and Bosa, of course, who are moving like him. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson PFF tweeted this week, like Nick Bosa or Aiden Hutchinson, and it's like Aiden Hutchinson has been on a tear recently. Nick Bosa is different, like that's a true game wrecking.
Hutch has been good though.
I agree. I agree a lot.
Is it because partially
No,
I think about the schools
to Ohio
because
State
I know Paul.
Aiden Hutchinson went to Michigan? Does that possibly have anything to?
Possibly.
But
yeah,
Goff didn't have help today. Goff didn't have help.
No. I never thought I'd say the day. It was like, free Jared Goff, man.
Free him. Yeah, it was a win-win trade. Lions just needed to surround him with better talent. Yeah, I think you just get out talented. I think like you can come out with a great game plan, but eventually talent is going to adjust. You can't totally, well, I guess you could totally reinvent yourself at halftime, but when you're up, why would you? And then, the 49ers are just the better team. They're the better roster. And the defense didn't have the guys to get it done at all. The secondary didn't have the guys to get it done at all. I didn't hear Brian Branch's name too much today as the best defensive back on the team. And they're in base a lot of the time, like they like to play base, and the 49ers love to make teams play base with their personnel usage with Juszczyk out there and Kittle. So that kind of takes their slot corner off the field, and that's their best personnel, right, is nickel. So not a great matchup with the 49ers. And Purdy went Lamar mode in the second half.
Oh my god,
he was.
Why was Purdy?
Balling,
why was Purdy running
playing super
he was
well?
balling, dude. You got to give him props.
I
don't think he's MVP or nothing, but darn if he's not a very good last pick.
He said, "I can do what Lamar does."
He was playing like regular season Lamar, no doubt. I mean, it was a problem that I thought he had last week was he wasn't escaping enough. I thought he was just kind of standing there, and like the wave of rushers would all come in with their hands up, and he's not the biggest guy, and he's like just not really able to.
He needs to cook more.
But in this game, he was running. He was in those situations, and he wasn't just throwing it at no one.
I'm not playing.
He was running around, and that was I thought that was exactly what he needed to do. It's like here's what makes you better than Jimmy. You can run. And I didn't think he did that enough to kill the Packers, and he murdered the Lions on the ground, just absolutely murdered them. So I thought that was exactly the thing that makes him special. I think that's the thing they were looking for when they drafted Trey Lance, but they got in Purdy. So I thought that was just what the doctor ordered for him. And the touchdown to Ayuk was a dime, and he had the most EPA on the ground in his career on this day. It was just massive run after massive run, especially in that second half, and difficult ones to pull off too. Like it wasn't like he had all day and like there was a wide open lane. Like I thought for sure they were going to get him, and the acceleration just was pretty shocking, or maybe not shocking. It was shocking. I was like, damn, I just hadn't seen it in a while.
Athletic, maybe.
You could say that.
No. Yeah, both quarterbacks.
I mean, that's the kind of player he was at Iowa State, was like run around. It's just in San Francisco, he's been more.
Brock Purdy, another rush.
I tuned into the Wee Hoopin' live after the Ravens lost. He was mostly staring at the TV in disbelief, and then he took a Chief jersey and took a lighter to it. And I really thought he was about to burn his house down, because I see like he's always in this like wooden attic with like loose insulation everywhere. And I'm like, he's gonna burn a jersey in this. I thought he was about to go up in flames. No.
And then he did burn the jersey. He burned it outside though.
He stormed off, and I think I scrolled past after he stormed off.
Yeah, he posted on TikTok. He did burn the jersey along with the cover of 1989.
I enjoyed the Swiftie instigating. If you're a troll, you have to do it.
Oh, it was so funny. The number
you're really
of
like
number
that,
of Swifties like figuring out who Wee Hoopin' was so funny to me.
He needs to dance more. He's a good dancer. I think that he's a great dancer, I think. And I think the best Wee Hoopin' content is when he's dancing. Dancing and yelling. So I was kind of bored to see him.
Yeah, I'd like to see more dancing and yelling from Wee Hoopin'.
I would. I have to admit, I was a little disappointed with the just standing there.
Man. Well, I mean, considering the Ravens lost, that's probably why he wasn't dancing and yelling.
You could do some sort of like
dancing and yelling more right now.
You can dance and yell in an angry way, or at least I wish there was more like, I don't know, like Oscar bait yelling, like that kind of monologue. I think he's got it within him to like something that could be a TikTok audio, I guess. He's just standing there. I'm like, come on, go on your little rant, and I will like stagger around your attic, like rolling around. I wanted to see a bit more.
If he rolled around. If he rolled around,
that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a truly agonized Wee Hoopin', and I got one that was stunned in disbelief, which didn't quite have the same entertainment value.
Fair enough.
Next time, though, I'm sure he'll be back next year.
The draft
and the Taylor stuff I thought was funny. So,
not all bad.
Now that we've discussed Wee Hoopin's playoff performance.
Hey, so we're gonna get Taylor Swift and Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl. You know, I was hoping, once the Chiefs, I was like, oh, now we got to get the Lions, so we get Taylor and Eminem. That would move mountains.
I don't give a damn about Eminem. No hate.
I thought it would be funny to have Taylor Swift, like both teams.
The 49ers have to have hella celebrities.
Yeah, I'm sure they can find
that could step up to the plate.
Yeah, but they haven't had someone like riding with them through the playoffs.
You're right.
They've got doing that, but it's not nearly the same level as like Taylor Swift, who's been like. There's been a storyline about that all year. Eminem, it's like, all right, like he's at the game, like that's cool. I guess Taylor's kind of the same. Man.
Let's see, who do we got?
The Taylor storyline is just better.
Okay, verified faithful. Here's some celebrity 49ers fans. We got Saweetie. We got E40. We've got some people. I'm skipping over anybody that I don't know.
I figure.
We got Dr. Disrespect.
Oh.
Yeah, man. That's our Taylor Swift match.
24K Golden.
Mind you, the Super Bowl is rigged. It's whoever has the cooler celebrity. So
Hold on.
not
Ronnie
looking good.
2K.
Ronnie 2K. Yeah.
Ronnie 2K is a 49ers fan? Nah, that's crazy.
Why is that crazy?
Why is that crazy?
Why is that crazy?
You have no idea?
Nah, Doctor. Wait, Ronnie 2K is a 49ers fan. That's crazy.
No way.
What is crazy about that?
How?
I don't know. It's
What the
just
fuck is crazy about that?
It's just crazy, man.
That was like a
random.
randomly generated response.
I went
Sage,
NPC mode for a second. My bad.
you did. I cannot lie. You did. Sage the Gemini. It's not looking good.
It's
It's
not
really
looking
not
like we
looking
can match
good.
up with Taylor.
No. They don't have Drake. They don't have Kanye.
See, the
They don't
Lions.
have-
The Lions had Eminem and they had Ninja. Like,
This
hard
is
to beat
not
that.
Ninja. I guess that's better than any of the names I've listed for the 49ers, but there's no way there's not a more famous
Who does-
49ers fan than this.
You know, never mind. That's not. It's not.
The Packers low key have the best with Simone Biles.
Some of. I mean, that's all right. We have Mr. Beast. Yeah. Yep.
Oh no,
Mr. B should buy
an
the Panthers,
Ophi,
man.
Yep.
a dopey YouTube game show host.
I'm trying to think about who the most famous Browns.
How many
fan
subscribers does Simone Biles have? Right.
I don't know. Subscribers.
is.
I don't know. She probably is more known across. I don't know. Actually,
I
it's probably
think
not true.
I mean, like Biles.
I've never
Like
seen
what
Mr.
Biles-
Beast at a Panthers game though.
Mr.
Why does he
Beast.
buy the Panthers?
True, and Mr. Beast sponsors the Hornets.
The Browns have
the jersey
uh,
Machine Gun
patch.
Kelly, man.
Yeah, that's tough.
No.
Oh no.
We got the Packers have we got Lil Wayne and Simone Biles. And we've got Will Ferrell
We have,
and we've got Anthony Davis.
The Browns have Steve Harvey. Let's go.
We have Steph
What is
Curry
Steve
and
Harvey going to do, man? He does not. Does he have fans, or is he just like
You
kind
don't,
of
think, you
a?
don't think Steve Harvey has fans? Ask your mom if she knows who Steve Harvey is, man.
She would say the guy from Family Feud. She's not a Steve Harvey fan. Steve
but he's-
Harvey, or at least fans on Twitter. That's where these battles are fought. You can have as many fans out there as you want, but if they're all,
So then probably Machine Gun Kelly's probably
Curry and Mr. Beast.
Curry does not rep
Panthers.
Okay.
Yes, he does.
thought you-
Yes, he does.
He reps the Panthers and
Yes,
not the
he does.
49ers. Okay.
He
Shout out
has
to him.
before. He's from the Carolinas.
You're right. I was
And
like, I'm
LaMelo,
not sure.
we should have the corner on the youth market if either of the teams could do anything, man.
Piece.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I guess you would have like all the 15-year-olds in your pocket with Mr. Beast and Steph Curry. That's
Not enough to make them
man.
script the Super Bowl for us.
Do you think if Mr. Beast is watching this, buy the Panthers and then
He's not watching this, and he doesn't have enough money to buy the.
no, he doesn't. He's gonna need a couple more
yeah,
Squid
but he
Games to come out.
Just start a squid. Just like if you guys get me to X number of subscribers, if you guys hit the like button 20,000, I will buy the Panthers. That's all he has to do.
Yeah, I guess so. What's the YouTube channel? He just needs to beef with another popular YouTube channel is what he needs to do.
Oh, I don't even know, man.
He should
What
beef
other
with
popular
us.
YouTube channel? I pretty much only know about Mr. Beast and like.
Well,
there's
there's
nothing
PewDiePie and Series X
I'm pretty sure,
or whatever.
yeah.
I remember that whole battle, and that got
There
both of their
I think it was
followers
T
way up.
Series is what it was called.
right T
I could be
Series. Yeah,
wrong.
what do
T series.
I don't know. I don't know.
The
What
only
other major
YouTube beefs that
popular
I can ever
YouTubers are?
remember are like iDubbbz with everyone.
Yeah, that was big. I mean, I'm sure I'm the last person to be talking to about YouTube lore. I've never seen any videos from popular YouTubers at all. Like all of these guys, I've never watched a popular YouTuber's video like all the way through. I don't think.
Never.
You've never watched one Mr. Beast video?
I've never seen a second. You could name any YouTuber. I had an iDubbbz phase like freshman year, which I regret. But like when he was dropping content cops and stuff, like I watched those. Yeah. Since then, like and really even then, like that was the only guy that I have ever seen a YouTube video of. Ever.
You didn't watch
you've
Minecraft
just never
YouTubers
watched any YouTube.
No,
I think that's crazy.
I never watched.
You've
YouTube.
never even just been interested in something that's so popular, like Mr. Beast, that you're like, well, I got to look at one video. Like,
I've never seen a second of a Mr. Beast.
You just had zero interest.
Insane.
No, like name any popular YouTuber. I've not seen him. Any popular YouTuber. PewDiePie, never seen a video.
What?
The only time I've seen a PewDiePie, I just don't get the appeal at all. Like, what is PewDiePie doing that?
But you've never watched to even like try and like see what like for science.
This is what.
I just don't care.
You've
like
never watched Vsauce.
No, I've never watched Vsauce.
What?
See, that's wrong.
No.
I've never seen a second. The only time I've seen him, and the only reason I know who that is because of memes on Twitter. And like,
what about like game theory and film theory? Matt Pat?
Nope, never seen it.
I'm not saying that I like Mr. Beast and watch his videos. Like, I mean, they're. I just don't watch it. But I've clicked on a Mr. Beast video. I'm like, okay, what is this?
And that's totally fair. Like, I don't care if you watch these people. I really don't. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like above YouTube. It just has never spoken to me at all. Like, I've seen people have dialogue about it on Twitter and like on Instagram and on every platform. People are always talking about the YouTuber. Just none of those plot lines have ever seemed anything but like just boring to me. Like it just has never felt like anything besides like just fake drama that like literally doesn't matter at all, or a video game playthrough, which again, like if that's your thing, go for it. It's probably like watching sports. You'd enjoy there's an entertainment value to watching a game. I get it. I would rather just like play a video game. Like I just don't watch a video game stream. And that's like 90% of what YouTube is like celebrity drama with celebrities I don't care about and like video game streaming. That's always been my impression. And like game shows in Mr. Beast's case. And it's like, I just have never felt like I wanted to watch that at all. And I haven't. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. But it's just been so far out of my wheelhouse that I've never even like bothered to click on it.
I think it's funny. The big YouTuber's name is Mr. Beast.
He just sees like I get how much good he's done. It's so
like the
like
name that a 14-year-old would instantly come up with, and it's awesome that he's kept it. It's so sick.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
What's his actual name? I can't remember.
I don't know. I just feel like
Jimmy Beast.
It's Jimmy. Yeah, it's Jimmy.
I don't know. He just has bad vibes. That is all I will say.
You think he has bad? I don't know. He seems. I feel like
he just seems like
he's got to be like a reasonably decent dude.
I don't have a strong Mr. Beast opinion.
I mean, he's clearly like he's not taking the money and doing like evil things. Like far from it. But I just don't like his vibe, man. I just don't rock with him. I don't.
Mr. Beast aura discussion on the conference chat.
That is literally all. Again, I have never watched his video. I just do not like his aura at all. He has like he just does not have watchable aura to me at all.
I guess that's fair, man.
He can make whatever appeals he wants. I just don't like
Mr. Beast watching this tearing up because Theo Ash doesn't like his aura.
Theo Ash, NFL, like he shouldn't care. If he cares, that would be weird, and he won't care because I don't matter.
If he cared what you thought of his aura, I would question his aura at that point.
But So you've tapping in or even just watching one video of any major YouTuber that's never interested you. That's just not your wheelhouse. But you're tapped into Wii Hoopin'.
Yes, Wii Hoopin' is on TikTok, and I am on TikTok every day.
We're tapped into Wii Hoopin'.
and
What's
like
your
I don't know
screen
how
time
many.
on
I don't know
Wii
how
Hoopin'
much
videos, Theo.
It's not very high. It's not very high. Sometimes what happens is he comes onto my For You page, and then I go onto his account and I scroll through a couple videos, and that happens like once every 2 or 3 months. I don't even think I watch like the videos all the way through. It's almost funny to just scroll through them like extremely quickly. It just be constantly bombarded with like the first 5 seconds. It's like just yelling like in different forms.
Real.
Fair enough.
So that's why I'm tapped into Wii Hoopin'.
Right.
Well, we got off the topic
49ers
of the
Lions.
Yeah, 49ers Lions game. Is there anything else we want to?
Well, we kind of transitioned to the Super Bowl preview, and then it was derailed by the Taylor Swift. Then it went to celebrities, and then I started ranting.
Yes. We don't want to give a full Super Bowl preview.
How are we feeling about
now.
that, though? For first impression, Chiefs versus 49ers, you've sat with it now, and you say...
Just like... What, a prediction?
What are you
like,
thinking about it? No, not a prediction. Like, no prediction even. Just like... What's your thought?
Sucks, man. I think it's the worst thing that's happened to the league ever.
That's going to be the narrative. Do you?
No, I don't think it's the worst thing.
I would have liked to see different teams. It would not have been my pick going into the playoffs, no lie. I don't really have much against the 49ers. I don't have anything against the Chiefs. But a recent rematch is kind of lame. The same team out of the AFC is kind of lame. I'd like to see a different team. I don't think that's an unfair opinion to have as an unbiased observer.
No, I get it. America doesn't want it, and I get why.
Here's why I really don't like the 49ers, at least it feels like they really have something to lose. Mm-hmm. They're going if they don't win this, it's a disaster. That's how it should be for every team in the Super Bowl. And when you get a team like the Chiefs, if they don't win, it'll be this is the weakest iteration of the Chiefs team. And the only thing that'll end up coming out of it is people ignorantly talking about Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl record 10 years from now or whatever. Or probably right away. And it's that's it, It's okay, whatever. It'd be cool to watch Mahomes build his legacy and whatever. I'm for that. But man, Ravens 49ers would have been such a this is it. We got to do it. Now is the time type stuff. And that's what I was rooting for. Or even the Lions as well.
Oh, yeah, Ravens, Lions, same. And I think even more so if it was Ravens, Lions. I think that would be from just an anticipation and a public approval rating standpoint. That's the matchup. That was really the matchup.
That would have been
and
sick.
Chiefs 49ers is just it's Chiefs 49ers. It's
I don't know. I don't want to sit here and shit on the matchup because it's
it's going to be a good game though. That's what I like.
It's going to
be a good
what
game. Is calming me down about it all is okay, this is one where it's the spread is going to be super close. It's really difficult for me to pick a winner because I thought the Ravens were the more complete team than the Chiefs, and then it doesn't seem to matter. And I thought the Eagles were the more complete team than the Chiefs, and it doesn't seem to matter. And now the 49ers are the more complete team against the Chiefs. I could still see it mattering, but it's I kind of don't want to touch it. So
I don't want to. That's my first thought. I just don't want to pick against Mahomes and that defense, bro. Because if you do and you're wrong, it's such a whiff. And they've already overcome a mega stacked team, and it's I don't know. And Mahomes, I thought he's just different, man. I don't know.
And I'm kind of sick of the Mahomes and Chief hating. I can appreciate the fact that we are currently.
I'm glad
watching...
I'm not a Chiefs hater. That's all I can say.
That
would be the worst. That would be the worst thing in the world to be. Someone who just hates Mahomes and hates the Chiefs.
I'm we are actively watching the best quarterback in the like no one has ever played the position better than Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want to just be like Collinsworth and Romo meat writing the whole time, but like we can appreciate watching the best to ever do it. Probably.
I mean, it's real hoops, you know. It's like very exciting to watch.
I disagree.
He rocks, man. He rocks.
If you hate Mahomes and you have valid reason to, like you're like a Broncos fan or whatever, that's
different. That's different. If you're a divisional rival,
but anybody, you can't cheer against this guy. You must appreciate greatness. I never agreed with that with Brady. I don't agree with it now, man. You want to be a hater? If you're sick of seeing the same guy win, guess what? That's not crazy. One of the most interesting things about the NFL is how quickly things change and how much unexpected things happen. If there's a dude in there who's so nice that he stops that from happening, fair enough. Now, me personally, I like seeing Mahomes ball out. I have nothing against him. But if you're any team in the AFC or you're a dude who's just like, man, I wanted Lamar to win, and you're like, screw Mahomes, I think that's totally valid.
I think that's valid.
And I think it's a sign of a great dynasty.
I think so too. I think it's very valid, but I'm just glad I'm not part of that mindset because it would just kill me. I'm so glad.
Unbearable, man. This would have been an unbearable game to watch, dude.
That is why it's just not fruitful to be a Mahomes hater. Like, if you are a Mahomes hater, like, I just feel bad for you because you've just been beaten down by this guy, and the road through the AFC like runs through him to such a heavy degree that like only Brady's fans saying like, well, 5 years ago we beat him. And it's like at that point you're just gonna get cooked. You're gonna get cooked on Twitter, and you're gonna get called the new Cowboys fan if you say that. So there's really no good outcome for you if you are a Mahomes hater. And I'm glad, unlike Brady, and maybe I should have appreciated Brady's game more when I was a kid. I was an Aaron Rodgers
13, dude.
I was an Aaron Rodgers fan, and it was fucked on Brady. So I was not having fun year after year when Brady was dominating the league. And now I am having fun. And that is so I just feel I just could not be a Mahomes hater.
I've never had you have both had great quarterbacks to root for. I've only ever been able to root for the guys at the top dominating because I've never had one of my own to root for. So I was
pick someone.
So I was.
You're a secondary bandwagon. You're saying, like, once your team was out, it was like immediately bandwagon instead of like rooting for the other underdog.
I'm not gonna. It was like I would just root for my next. I was just rooting for my favorite players, and so my favorite players growing up were like Breeze and Brady, and I don't know.
Breeze and Brady.
Breeze and Brady. The Breeze was like my first favorite quarterback. I loved Breeze, man. That dude rocked. I should get a Drew Brees jersey.
You know what I was thinking about the other day, though? I tweeted this out. You remember when he got fake struck by lightning for a betting ad?
What?
Wasn't that the craziest shit ever, man?
What? Ads have gotten so bold. I don't remember
this. What?
This was a couple of years ago at this point.
It was just last year, wasn't it?
I think it was 2022. I think I checked.
Getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, they like leaked it like
super legit, and they like put out like a message where it's like, we're looking into the situation. We're in contact with his team or whatever, and it like looked like incredibly.
Yeah, it was like
real.
a grainy video of like, here's this video of Drew Brees getting struck by lightning, and it was like this grainy video, and you're like, this is and it was like the eve of the Super Bowl, right? So it's like, this is probably tied into marketing, but like they never made that clear. And then it was like, again, an ad that no one remembers, I guess.
I don't remember that.
No, if I didn't know it because I looked it up the other day, you would never guess what that was for. Mainly because it has the world's dumbest name ever. It sounds like something totally fake. Points bet. Okay.
What? How much did they pay him for this?
You know that grandma on TikTok who like picks NFL games? Have you ever seen that content?
No, I don't think so.
That the like grandson who clearly runs that account was in my comments the other day, and I was like, why do you have a scam ad in your as the link in your bio? I like clicked on it and it was called grandma. Well, it's not actually
not
the grandma who runs the account. Like he's just like grandma comes over sometimes.
There's not
and
a
he points
soul
the
Theo
camera at
Ash
her.
will not beef with. In the
Well, there's not either. If
TikTok
she was the one
community.
online, I would beef with her as well. But this was just the
my
guy running
God.
the account, and it was like profit bet, and the like tagline is like "We guarantee profits with no risk" was like their tagline, and I was like, that is literally the scam thing to say. Like usually they say if they promise things like this or like insinuating this, it's like that was just straight up verbatim what it said. It's like, okay, profit bet.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, Drew Brees pretended to get struck by lightning. Yeah, man, that was crazy shit to do. And I don't think anybody like right away picked up on it not being real. I think it was pretty heavily believed right away because it seemed like something just too crazy to lie about. I can't.
I remember it happening. I was never convinced Brees was dead.
I thought he got struck by lightning.
You were in the camp. You thought Brees was a goner.
Well, to be completely real with you, it's because Kobe died in the helicopter crash.
I was about to say,
like, well, that is it's like TMZ reports like Kobe died in a helicopter crash. You're like, that is no chance true. Absolutely impossible. And then it was true. So it's like Drew Brees just got struck by lightning, and the options are either they're faking it for an ad or he really got struck by lightning. I thought the lightning was more reasonable.
Yeah,
it might be more reasonable, honestly. I just don't ever remember seeing that and like believing that it happened.
The fact that TMZ was
smarter
the first
than me.
to
I think that's what it comes down to. Your mind
insane.
works.
That's also not insane. TMZ is the first to report on a lot of pop culture news stories.
Are they?
But they're notorious for getting things wrong, and a helicopter crash is ridiculous.
Yes. The TMZ journalistic morals is questionable, but they are first to
okay. I
as
guess
many
I don't follow
pop
TMZ
culture
like
celebrity news as anyone. It feels like. I mean,
okay.
I guess I could be mistaken about that, but I don't think that I am.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. So we got off track from football again, but
we were just talking about vibes around the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's what the Super Bowl isn't really about. Football.
What is
the Super Bowl?
Who's the halftime performer? Usher.
The Super Bowl is about the vibes of the Super Bowl. We're going to go to the Super Bowl if we get the credentials, and not a single question is going to be about the game, especially this year. It's going to be like, I don't know why Kelsey is going to even show up to the podium. Like it's going to be some wild ones, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Taylor.
Me and my friends were trying to figure out what we could ask. We're going to question him on how big of an NIL donation Taylor Swift will make to the University of Cincinnati.
That would be so good. Please ask him that. Please,
oh my God.
That is a football question, honestly. Like that's
how big of an NIL
that's like
donation?
a way better football question than I feel like most. They're going to be like, Travis, what's it like having Taylor in the stands for these playoff runs? He's gonna, which is a fine question to ask, but it's gonna be asked to him about 50 times.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, she's just a big support.
She's been great. It's a lot of fun having her at the game, and this is as big as it gets. So,
what about your travel schedule, Kelsey? Like, is it a lot being on private jets, between the games, or a lot for her?
We work to make it work as good as possible, and she's got her team, I've got my team, and I'm really just focused on the game more than anything. Travis,
what's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
See, here's the thing: I don't know that many Taylor Swift songs, so I can't answer that as
you
Travis.
Can't.
I'm sure he'd have like a top 10, and he'd think of something like really good and be like a super supportive boyfriend.
You can't say that. I don't have a favorite. I don't really know.
I'm actually going to put you on the spot. Name one Taylor Swift song.
This would be crazy.
Shake It Off. Boom.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. I'm like, you got to be able to name one.
Yeah. I'm sure I could name more if I think for a second, man. I don't know if I can. And here's the thing: I was listening to some today, not on my phone, but I was in a store and someone was playing. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was pretty good.
A lot of the names of her songs escape me outside of the pop ones.
Right,
like
the names, but I
the
know
albums
a decent amount of them.
The albums I could all name,
I
but
know.
the songs I could not name on the albums because
She's got a daunting catalog, doesn't she? She's got how many songs?
She releases music
she
all
have?
the time. Yeah, she's
she's
been releasing music since she was like 18. So
yeah, I was thinking about that. Like Taylor Swift would probably be the best person to be a mega fan of. Like she tours like crazy in huge stadiums and drops music all the time. And
that's why she has so many
all
fans.
The time.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I don't know about the tours because those are so expensive.
I guess.
To go to, but
I guess
as far as releasing music a lot, that would be awesome. I wish.
I mean, something happens every day with Taylor Swift. I mean, it has to be like absolute heaven to be a stan of Taylor Swift. Like
us Tom York heads are starving right now. We're starving, dude.
Bro, my favorite guitarist of all time is Gary Moore. He died like so long.
Gary Moore heads are not up at all. Yeah, no. Stream burning down the house. Stop making sense. Live clears. Everything is sports.
Leave in the comments
and they even get to be
your
Chiefs fans, and they just go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, of
like
course,
literally,
and, the Chiefs are going to go on this miracle run and like maybe win the Super Bowl or whatever.
Are there bandwagon stands? Is there I guess that's just really gatekeepers, right? Where like I'm sure that there are a group of like true Taylor Swift fans that think they're like 90% of her fan base.
I guess I hadn't thought of that because there's like nothing really stopping you from being fans of like multiple people. But I don't know if I've ever seen like a stand that's going like
bandwagoning. Who's the Lord fans all bandwagoning Taylor Swift? I'm sure that actually happened. Everything is
Lana Del Rey fans hopping on the
Lana Del Rey fans eat pretty good, honestly.
They probably do. She's pretty great.
She got some Grammy nods. Latest album was great.
Latest album was real good.
Yeah,
we move.
She's sometimes problematic. That's like a losing streak for a stan. Like that's just blowing a big playoff game. Stephen A. Smith. Now you know.
Stephen A. Smith came out with a lot of dumb
Skip, I know I gotta mention when Lana dropped that letter in 2020.
Oh man.
Saying she was better than multiple African American artists.
I honestly
when her resume just doesn't stack up.
So real. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Kanye fan, that is the biggest playoff choker of all time. It's got to be at this point, right?
Yeah, at this point, it would be very tough.
I almost, as a joke, said Embiid. I didn't go there. I wouldn't want to go there. I have nothing against Joel.
Now it's out of the bag.
Kanye's legacy.
I almost said it. I almost did.
Lots of just a problematic incident. It's just a playoff L. JPEG Mafia took a big L in the playoffs this week. Hooked up with Kanye.
Mafia.
Linked up with Kanye after calling him lame.
Tough, man.
He wasn't standing on lyrics. Gotta tell you, this one. Anyway.
I don't know what else. I don't know where the fuck we are as far as
we're not.
The branch of this structure is completely destroyed at this point, but I think that pretty much wraps things up. We'll stop on the musicians as playoff performers comparison. But we'll be back. Oh, we have a week, kind of, because we have the Pro Bowl week coming up. So I won't say we'll come back with a Super Bowl preview just yet, but we'll come back. We'll probably talk about the coaching carousel a little bit. We might talk about the Pro Bowl. We'll see.
Making a lot of like big predictions about the Pro Bowl could be a good bit.
That would be funny.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking if you could bet on it, and then I was thinking about making a video and being like, who is most, I don't know. That's not funny. I was going to say who's most like the gritty. That's really not that funny at all.
No, Matt, that's a great idea.
Bro.
Who's most likely
You
to
should do
gritty?
it.
Justin Jefferson. As it's his signature move.
Who's most
Number
likely
2,
to gritty?
Jamar Chase. Who's most likely?
CD Lamb out here with plus 2,000. CD Lamb plus 2,000 odds to gritty.
You're telling me Dak isn't grittying, bro? Plus 5,000. Dude, he's gonna be on Jefferson's team, bro.
Here's my 3-leg anytime gritty parlay for the Pro Bowl.
Dude, Njoku is such a lock to gritty.
I'll make that video. I promise you that.
Please do, man. We're all gonna.
FanDuel has gritty parlays. Send everybody to the app. If you're a gambling company and want us to do this for your company, send us $10,000.
Yeah, you can make some really ugly, gritty lines that are absolutely horrifying money pits, and people would still bet them.
We will advertise your website by pushing fake gritty numbers for $10,000 each.
I will talk to FanDuel first thing in the morning, man. We will get this finalized. But yes, we'll be back with another episode. We're also we'll watch another upcoming NFL draft prospect, and we'll let you know when that'll be and who we're going to be watching for that. But thank you all for tuning in to this NFC and AFC championship recap episode. And until next time, from the Stay Hot crew, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.